Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
There is a podcast that lies between the imagination of two simple-minded earthlings. Travel with these two longtime friends, Jimbo and 80s E, as they attempt to explore the fifth dimension. Follow along with them as they take the key and unlock the door to the vast space between shadow and substance. This podcast is one of trivia, of insight, and of sounds and ideas from one of the greatest television shows ever produced. You are embarking on a timeless journey. There is your signpost up ahead. You are entering the tragedy of cinema's Twilight Zone.
Miss Marcia White on the 9th floor. Specialties department, looking for a gold thimble. The odds are that you'll find it. But there are even better odds that you'll find something else. Because this isn't just a department store. This happens to be the Twilight Zone.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast, the Twilight Zone series. It's been a pretty long time, but we are back, and we'll touch on that here in a minute. I'm your host, Jimbo, and once again, I'm joined by my good friend and colleague,
80s E, here in the house.
In the studio.
Yeah, in the southern layer.
The southern layer. So, 80s, people know we've been off for a while now due to several different things. There's been some sicknesses, there's been some surgeries, there's been a lot of different vacations. So why don't you go ahead and give everybody a little update of what's been going on in your part of the fifth dimension.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good summer. Some good time off. Got to travel to South Carolina for a week and had a little car trouble getting back. That was kind of fun.
I remember that one. You was bad.
Had to stay an extra night on the road. Then, like you said, my daughter had knee surgery, so I spent most of the summer going back and forth to physical therapy. So that hasn't been so much fun, but she's doing better and back in school. Everything's going well. How about yourself? You had an exciting summer?
Yeah, just worked all the time. I mean, that's how terrible it's been. But, man, it's been hot around here. So, but enough about that. We're glad to be back. Hopefully we don't see any more layovers, layoffs.
I think the last...
stopping production of the podcast.
I think the last time I was in the southern layer was... back in April, maybe. We did a couple episodes, so it's good to be
It's been
back.
A long time.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we are up all the way. We are almost done. We are down the home stretch of season 1.
We are
finally. This is episode 34, the After Hours. So, Eric, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Okay. The After Hours. This is the Twilight Zone season 1. This is episode number 34. This was directed by Douglas Hayes and written by Rod Serling. And the featured music is by Bernard Harriman, and I have a notation here. It says it's from Where Is Everybody? So maybe some of the same musical score was used in the original episode number 1. The original air date for this episode was June the 10th, 1960, and the total production cost for this episode was $45,685.21, which, when it is adjusted for today's dollars for inflation, is about an 809% increase, and the total comes out to $415,480.75. So obviously they're a big jump with inflation. And Jimbo, you want to take the cast next?
Sure, we'll go ahead and jump in right into the cast. You had Anne Francis, played Marcia White, who is the main female lady. You might remember, Eric, from the movie Forbidden Planet, where she played Altera Morbius, and I know you watched that.
Yes, and we did a podcast on it, I think, because Art Toast gave me some grief about my review of the movie. He said I was too harsh on it. He was like, how could you not like Forbidden Planet? Yeah, I respect what it was for the time and place, and it's a great historical sci-fi movie, but yeah. Just
good old Art Toast.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment when my dad is there. Then you also had Elizabeth Allen as the saleswoman. You may have seen her in the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. She was also in John Wayne's Donovan Reef. So she played like Mrs. Deadham in there. So you had James Milholland as Mr. Armbruster, and he is famous for, if you've ever seen The Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Oh, yes.
The famous Don Knotts movie where he played Mr. Milo Maxwell.
Okay.
You had John Conwell as the Elevator Man, which he was pretty funny in this episode too. Patrick White as Mr. Sloan, and Nancy Rennick as Mrs. Keevers. A lot of these cast members I saw in their biography of movies, their list of movies, that a lot of them were in The Fugitive, the TV show.
Okay.
So they got a lot of, I think there was 3 actors or actresses from the Fugitive TV show, so you may have seen some of them in there.
Good deal.
So Eric, you want to go ahead and let's start talking about the episode?
Sure. I'll just by way of tech specs, I'll run through those again as we normally do. It's all basically the same, a 25-minute runtime. It's a mono Westrex recording system, and it's black and white, of course, and 35 millimeter spherical. So we're sticking with the same old, so to speak, as far as the tech specs go. Just briefly, I will also give you the plot while I'm on topic here. Marcia White is looking for a gold thimble as a gift for her mother. She can't find it anywhere in the store, and an elevator operator suggests that she try the 9th floor. She arrives there to find it abandoned, but the sales clerk suddenly appears and has exactly what she's looking for. On the way back down to the main floor, she realizes the thimble she bought is scratched and goes to complaints to the complaints department, where she is told there is no 9th floor in the building. She is shocked, however, to see a mannequin that looks just like the woman who served her. A return to the absent floor reveals the explanation to her dilemma. This is by way. It's a pretty good twist in this particular episode, and it's got a really dark, scary tone. It's one of those ones you know when you watch as a kid, at night in your house in the dark, and it was really suspenseful and scary.
Right. So, but before we get too much further, can I just say that I'm not a fan of this because the intro was changed for the next 3 episodes. The intro to the Twilight Zone. Yep. So this one's different, and it caught me off guard, and I just don't like it. I like the ones before this better, so I just wanted to throw that in there before we went too far.
So you're not a fan of the Seeing Eye?
The Seeing Eye, yeah, no. Give me the strolls and the doors and all that stuff. So
yeah. So we open the episode with Marcia, the storefront, and then the camera pans inside, and then we go inside, and we see Marcia standing at the counter. I don't know if it was like a perfume counter, and she's kind of perplexed about a gift that she wants to buy. I think it ends up being for her mom, right? The thimble gift she lands on ends up being for her mom. And the lady asks her, it was really funny, like she asked her the question, like, can I show you something? And she was like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Like, that wasn't what she was asking, but she automatically, Marcia comes back with, no, that's not what I want.
Right.
Like, we're like, okay, and she's kind of confused, but then the episode moves to the elevator, right? And then she gets on an elevator all by herself. And this is the days of the old-timey elevator operators and stuff, and where someone actually physically manned the operator.
Right. And
or elevator, sorry.
When she says that's not what I'm looking for, but when she ask somebody where she can find something, or she asks the elevator guy where she can find something, he's like, oh, you want something on the 9th floor.
Yeah, I think
goods and services or something on the 9th floor.
Yeah, I don't know if she asked him, or I can't remember or not, but she just sort of gets on the elevator, he motions her in, and then of course she goes up to the 9th floor. And it's interesting that the camera pans onto the number board above the elevator, and there is no 9th floor.
But did you notice that? It went all the way to the top. After 8, there was an R, which stood for roof back in the day. But if there was no ninth floor, why did it go all the way up to the R then?
It's the
So
Twilight.
she should be on the roof then.
It's the Twilight Zone, man.
I know. So would you say the elevator is the dimension to the doorway to the fifth dimension?
Insight. That's a good insight. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. So when she gets off the elevator, it's just it looks like another floor, but all the cases, the glass cases, display cases are all like empty and
kind of dark in there.
Yeah, she's up there by herself, and she sort of wanders around for a moment until the sales lady appears, and
she's like, "Was somebody helping you?"
Right.
You know, and she's like.
And this just has if you were just watching this cold, it has sort of an uneasy feeling. You don't know what's going to happen. It has sort of a dark overtone, and the suspense is really sort of building.
Right, and you're wondering why this lady's up there. There's nothing up here to show you. Right. And why is this lady up here, a sales lady up here in the dark, with nothing in the cases?
And then it gets more and more strange because she takes her to a glass case that only has one item in it, and she lights up the backlighting, and it's a gold thimble, which just happens to be exactly what Marcia is looking for. And Marcia makes a comment later. This is not a really efficient way to do business. You only have stock of one item on a whole floor, and she makes a comment similar to that. So she pulls out the thimble, and it's exactly what she wants. And she decides that she's going to pay with cash because the lady asked her, "Will it be a charge?" She says, "No, I'll pay with cash," and it's like $23 and some change, $25 even with tax. She takes out the $20 and the $5 bill out of her wallet and doesn't get a receipt, and starts to walk away. And then, she starts to walk away because she starts to walk off and not pay for it. And then the sales lady tells her to come back and pay for it.
Yeah, Marcia here, she's kind of out of it. You know what I mean? You're like,
yeah, you can tell
something's off,
disturbed a little bit. Like she can't tell what is quite off, but something just doesn't seem right. And then the sales lady, as she sort of walks away, calls her by name, which that intensifies it. Right. And then Marcia almost gets like belligerent, like and upset and angry, like, "How do you know my name?" And the lady says, "Oh, I know you from somewhere." And she's like, "Well, I've never seen you ever." And they go on and have a little dialogue.
Yeah, she's like, "I've probably seen you around the store." And she's like, "No, you haven't."
Yeah,
I've never seen you.
So at this point, her suspicions are greatly raised, and then she ends up back after this, just to kind of move us along a little bit. She ends up back on the elevator, and she notices that the thimble has a scratch on it. Nice gold thimble, and it has a scratch, and she tries to tell the elevator operator. He's just like, "I don't know, complaints level 3 or level 4, whatever it is." He's like, and she's just sticking it in his face, almost like, "Hey, look at this. This is a scratch. I can't do anything with this." And he's like, "I don't know what you want me to do, lady." It's,
yeah. And this guy, he just looks so bored. Like,
wasn't he one of the 3, and we'll probably get to this in the trivia section, but there were 3 molds, right, made of the faces,
right,
and then they were sort of put on the mannequin. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, you're getting away.
He was one of the 3 people. I'll just leave it at that. We'll get to it in a moment, the great reveal, but most of you probably already seen it if you're here. But so she's complaining. He drops her off at the complaints, which I think is like floor 3 or 4. And then the camera doesn't show this, but she has a dialogue with Mr. Armbruster, but we end up in Mr. Sloan, the office manager, the manager of the store, and we end up in his office. And I think the guy that played Armbruster is pretty good.
He's pretty funny. Yeah,
he kind of he's has a comedic type quality to him, and his facial expressions are great. And he played that part to a T, and he's got a lot of great one-liners. So he tries to basically describe to the store manager the problem that he's having with Marcia, and that I told her to take it back to the floor where she got it, and
said she got it on the 9th floor. Exactly. And he's like, "There is no 9th floor."
And he says, "Well, I've tried to explain that to her, but without any success." And there's some funny dialogue there, and so the manager decides he's going to go out and he's going to handle it directly with Marcia, and it's just a funny exchange right here. And so what happens next?
I think she's out in the lobby. And
He goes out to the lobby. Oh, yeah. And then, so Marcia's describing the whole situation and how she bought it. And it's just kind of the same thing. Like, she explains to how she explained to Mr. Armbruster that I bought on the 9th floor. There is no 9th floor, blah, blah, blah. Kind of rehashes that all again. And then she goes, there's the woman that sold it to me right over there.
Right.
And then this is the big reveal.
Yeah, she turns around and somebody's turning around a mannequin, and it is the lady, the saleswoman, dressed exactly like she was on the 9th floor. And this causes Marcia to faint, I do believe.
Yep.
So she's like, oh, there's the lady, she can help me. And then the look of fright in her eyes, and when she realizes she's not real.
Yeah, that she really played that really well. And so we come to the next scene where Mr. Armbruster is talking to another floor sales lady, and he tells, I think her name is Mrs. Pettigrew, and he tells her, like we got to get rid of this lady. I want her to take a one-way bus ticket.
I'll buy her a bus ticket.
Anywhere, west of Cleveland or Honolulu or something. He has a funny line right there. He's like, just get her out of here. So he kind of pawns her off onto one of the other sales ladies, and they end up putting her in an office, right, to lay on a couch, and then it's about closing time. And
which is funny too, because
o'clock.
if it's not only that, but if it's closing time and she's in there laying on a sleep, wouldn't you think whoever's closing up the thing would be like,
that was my whole point. Like, how did they miss her?
Why is this person in my office?
Right.
You know what I mean?
How did they miss her?
Laying on this
literally
couch.
5 minutes ago, you put her in the office, and then it's 5 minutes to 6, and then all of a sudden everybody in the whole place.
I was trying to see the time of that clock when it showed right here at the beginning of this cutscene, because it showed 6 o'clock there, but then it showed the clock again. I think it said 9 o'clock.
I think it was 6:30.
Was it
6:30ish? Yeah, when she actually wakes up from her nap or whatever.
Yeah, I was just trying to see real quick just to make sure.
And she's all in the office. She's all alone, and she's really freaked out now because she's locked in the department store, and there's no way for her to get out. She screams for help, I think, for a moment, and then she pick up the phone at some point and try to call out to get somebody to come and get her. And it's kind of funny. She looked. There's mannequins all. I never noticed this before, but there's mannequins all around in that room, which I never really noticed that before.
Which you would kind of wonder what kind of office she was in if she walks through that little doorway and then there's all these mannequins everywhere. But it looks like it goes right out to the main floor of the department store.
Yeah, so she's all alone, and she really starts to get freaked out. She tries the elevator. She tries the exit doors. I think she even at one point she tries to pick up the phone and she's screaming kind of for help. And
but it is very creepy seeing all those mannequins and the shadows in the background of like in the windows. You can see the silhouettes, and she's starting to panic. She's like, I don't know what's going on. And then she starts hearing whispers like her name, Marcia.
Yep.
She just knocks over the sailor mannequin, like.
Which the sailor here is the man from the elevator. He's the elevator operator, but he's got a similar uniform on, but it's a sailor's uniform. And like I mentioned earlier, he's one of the 3 people that they actually made a mold of their face.
Right.
Unlike, what was it, Elegy, where all the people were trying to stand really still, but on close-up shots you could tell that people were moving just because it's natural. You're going to have natural human movement. They decided to do something a little bit differently in this episode where they made actual molds of their face and then painted them on real mannequins to make them, really still.
So they're all calling her name, Marcia. It's going to the different mannequins and all that. And then doesn't she go over to one of the guys, the mannequin's arm kind of comes up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, and it scares her. And then she goes to the phone.
She goes to the phone. And then if we fast forward a little bit, I mean, again, the intensity is just building and building and building and building. And then she ends up back in the elevator. And then the elevator takes her to the ninth floor again, and she sees the mannequin. She's confronted right outside the door with the mannequin sales lady, and this is a really great acting.
Cowers in the corner.
You really feel the weight of, and it doesn't seem like it's like over the top or anything. I mean, it seems really genuine in her.
And the sales lady's like, Marcia, you're acting like a silly little girl.
And that's a really good description because that's exactly how she was acting at that moment, like a scared, frightened little girl.
I mean, I don't blame her. So she takes her off onto the elevator, off down to the 9th floor, and it's dark, it's creepy, and she's just leading her hand in hand, two hands, and she's like, Marsha, there, it'll be okay, patting her, and she's really scared, you can tell. But then the mannequins here, dude, it's just really creepy. I mean,
they all sort of come to life.
And they all just start stepping off their pedestals, yeah. Very well done.
Yeah. And then the camera's kind of up high, too, to where you can kind of see them all, and it kind of pans across the room.
Do you know why? Because this was actually a large studio set that was made for newspaper newsroom.
Okay.
And where they print newspapers. And so they had this big set already made for this movie. And so they had to convert it from the newspaper thing to the department store, but it was big enough where the camera could move about freely.
Yeah.
And that's why you see a lot of her foot movement throughout this episode and everything. So they had enough room to move the camera. The camera's almost always moving in this episode, which is different than some of the other Twilight Zones.
Okay. Yeah, the dude in the ski mask is kind of freaky. when they pan
I thought it was a lucha libre wrestler, a masked professional wrestler.
Yeah, yeah, that was really great camera work too. Just moving from person to person and the up high camera. That's interesting. I didn't know that little tidbit of trivia. That's pretty cool. But yeah, and then the saleswoman. I don't think her name's never given, but she's just called the saleswoman. She sort of trying to jog Marsha's memory.
Do you know where you're at? Is it coming back to you yet?
And kind of scolds her a little bit, like, you're late coming back. We each get 1 month, she says.
And my day started yesterday. Yeah, so I'm already 1 day late.
Exactly. I'm late to get to the human world. And Marsha tries to kind of apologize and explain. It's like, well, when you get there, you really start to believe that you're a real human. And
this is where she realizes, I'm a mannequin.
Yeah,
it's all coming back now.
Yeah, so that's the great twist, is that everyone, the saleswoman and Marsha herself and others, the elevator operator, they're all mannequins.
And I guess in the mannequin world, you get 1 day off, 1 month off, and take turns and rotate around so you go enjoy the outside world.
Right.
Now, so basically, this is really cool here at the end. I thought this was one of the best shots they've ever done, is when they're all waving to the one lady, bye, and then Marsha's sitting there talking, I believe it's with the elevator guy.
Oh, yeah, and her arms start to come up.
And he comes over and he's talking to her, and she's like, yeah, you just don't understand, when you're out there. And her arms are coming up like this, and then they freeze perfectly how the mannequins are. And I thought she did a really good job right there.
Yeah, that was a cool shot.
It's just, she's kind of sad, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that she has to go back to be the mannequins. A little touch of sadness there.
Did he have what's his head again?
And Armbruster on the following scene is...
Okay, see, he's the elevator guy's out there at the steering wheel right there.
Like a sailor.
Right, so who's running the elevators today?
I don't know. It's a good question. Is that part of your...
Well, I just didn't know if the elevator guy and that guy was the same person.
I think they look the same.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they are the same person. But yeah, Armbruster is going around. It's about opening time, 9 a.m. the next day. And then his facial expression when he walks and he looks over his shoulder and he sees Marsha as the mannequin.
Yeah, his
the
face.
Centerpiece mannequin. It's...
Look at his face, man. It's just like...
It's great.
Never mind.
Yeah. He can't get rid of her.
He's like, whatever.
Yeah, he can't get rid of her. She's a mannequin. She's a real customer one day and a mannequin the next.
And they look really good. The mannequins look really good.
Yeah, they did a really good job. And I have... Well, I'm going to spoil a little bit of the trivia, but... Anne Francis said she still kept the bust from the facial mold from the mannequin. She still kept it.
Yeah, they were called death mask.
Yeah, until the day that she died.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty interesting, but sorry to jump ahead.
No, that's good.
That was all part of the episode right there.
But yeah, the mannequins look really lifelike, all the way down to the beauty mark on her chin.
Yeah.
Very, very attention to detail. That she kept the death mask. It was actually a plaster which made directly from her face and carefully painted to look like the actress standing there completely motionless. I mean, you look at that, you've got it froze right there. I mean, that's pretty good, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know if they're a makeup artist or an actual artist, whoever. I know in the book that I read, Anne Francis again gives the lady that made those molds a lot of praise too. Like they did an outstanding job. So yeah, that's a real highlight. I'm sure it was probably an expensive.
What'd you think of the remake? I know you got it.
I did watch some of the remake. It's in an 80s mall. I watched about 10 minutes in, and I was just like, this is... I gave up on it. Did you watch it all the way through?
No, but I heard that she wants to remain human in that one instead of turning back into a mannequin.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that kind of ending would sort of maybe make sense. That the fact that Marsha was so willing to go back and be a mannequin and really didn't fight it at all. Maybe that would have been cool to see that play out a little bit more. But yeah, I think the original is still far superior to at least from what I saw. And I guess I have to be truthful in the fact that I didn't watch it all the way through. But
right.
Usually the remakes aren't as good.
Something I don't know if you call it, but when she first enters the store at the beginning of the thing, there is several display counters. On one of the display counters, there is a basket which is very similar to the one Nan Adams carries throughout the episode in The Hitchhiker.
Okay.
So I thought that was a nice little callback. Maybe they used some props, leftover props, and just...
Was it like a picnic basket type thing? I didn't notice it, yeah.
Yeah, so if you have a chance, you might want to go back and look at that. Okay. And like I said, the department store was actually made from an old set from some featured picture that had a huge newspaper office. So they had plenty of space to move around, and the camera could easily remain in motion and get long shots at a time. Eric, got anything else?
Yeah, I got a little trivia here, a few points. And then, let me just scroll up here. Yeah, Serling's virgin story of the mannequins coming to life in a department store after hours was critically taken apart by a couple of critics, I guess, back in the day, of trade columns. And they kind of accused him of plagiarism, which that probably happened quite a lot as I'm reading through this. He was accused of plagiarism quite a bit. And they accused him of plagiarizing a short story called Evening Primrose, and it was written by John Collier. It's told of a story of a woman who went into a department store and became one of the night people, in quotes. And a society of humans had decided to live in the Twilight Zone of locked-up stores. So Serling may have been exposed to the story from a dramatization on the radio program Escape, which featured an adaptation of Collier's story from November 5th, 1947. So whether that resided in his subconscious or not is yet to be seen. But then there was a guy named Frank Gruber, and I'll just sort of summarize this. He claims that Serling plagiarized a story called, actually it was a teleplay called The 13th Floor. And Gruber, he actually went to social gatherings and he spread the word that Rod Serling was a plagiarist towards him. And he reached out to Serling, and Serling was forced to basically defend himself at a brief meeting at the Writers Guild. And he explained that Gruber's script was different from Serling, the After Hours, except for the first few pages in which someone entered a department store and ends up on a non-existing 13th floor. The rest of the script was completely different. So that was Serling's sort of explanation. Like, yeah, the beginning is somewhat similar until we get into the elevator, and then after that the stories are completely different. So Serling submitted a copy of the After Hours script to Gruber, confident that the famed writer would note beyond the passing similarity of the use of the non-existent floor in the department store, and the two stores were miles apart in terms of mood, character, plot development. And upon reading the enclosed, if you're not satisfied, this is Serling speaking, says, I do not think we should either sit down and discuss this as two honorable men, or in the words of the prophet, put your money where your mouth is and secure a lawyer to make accusations in a courtroom.
Right, but you got to remember, Serling, he would pay a lot for like short stories and all that. So if it would have been similar, I'm sure he wouldn't have mind, giving some money. We've seen him do that several times in season 1 already. So yeah,
so him and this Gruber guy, I guess, came to a head, and then the end of the story was that nothing ever came of it. Gruber got his memo or whatever, and then he just decided, I guess, to kind of let it go. Another fun fact is TV Guide featured a photo spread for this episode about a week before the broadcast with Anne Francis posing in front of her plastic duplicate, while the caption read, Anne Francis helps manipulate the imagination this Friday. The editors of the magazine carelessly gave away the solution to the mystery, remarking Miss Francis plays a mannequin who comes to life in the CBS Twilight Zone.
Oh, that'd be terrible, isn't it?
So this obviously upset Houghton and Serling, and for future episodes, they required that the ending be concealed, and Houghton would make sure a memo accompanied the press releases and photos, reminding the editors of the periodicals not to reveal the surprise ending. And the next note I just have, we already talked about Anne Francis and the mannequin and her praise of the people, the makeup people. And then this was a quote from her. It says, "Looking back on those years, I would say that I get more fan mail related to the Twilight Zone than anything else I've done, including Hunting West and Forbidden Planet." So Anne Francis was really remembered fondly for this particular episode. You got anything else?
It's a great episode. It really is. Yeah. It's probably in the upper echelon of the season 1. After some of those duds we've done pretty much recently and to come. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. This is one that I remember seeing when I was a kid, and it stuck with me all these years. So, very good episode. Good acting. Good use of the shading and lighting. Very, very well done.
Yeah, I just have a few notes about Anne Francis as far as a biopic. She was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2007 despite quitting smoking nearly 20 years earlier.
Wow.
She immediately underwent chemotherapy in February of 2008 and underwent surgery to remove her upper lobe of her right lung. And then she actually passed away 35 days after her Forbidden Planet co-star, Leslie Nielsen. So they passed away
recently.
Only 35 days apart. She received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame at 1611 Vine Street in Hollywood, California on February 8th, 1960. So she got her star pretty early. And she was a longtime rodeo fan, and she rode for rodeos and directed actually a short subject film called Gemini Rising in 1968. I've never seen that movie, but it must have been about rodeo and riding and so forth. But any questions or any other observations you want to?
No, I just think it was a very well done episode.
Yeah, I think it was. Well, when we come to our wrap up episode, it was a top 10 episode for me. I think it might have been a top 5 episode.
Look at this guy. This guy's already breaking.
Yeah, the suspense and the building of it, and I just still think it's crazy that how they forgot about her in the office. Yeah, that was one of the observations. I was like, wow, how could they? This woman has caused so much trouble during the day, and then they just forgot about her.
Especially when you have Armbruster and Sloan in there, and they're just, well, I don't know.
I want to get. Maybe they just were.
Did she disappear?
Yeah, maybe they were just so eager to get rid of her that when they didn't, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, when she wasn't there, they were like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah, well, maybe they just totally forgot, but she was in somebody's office or whatever.
Right.
That's the part that I didn't understand. So
yeah. And then one other thing that Rod kind of brings up, he says, he asked the question, just how normal are we? Just who are the people we nod our hellos to on the street? I thought that was
right. I was reading that earlier in the book I have. I thought that was. He's like, are people that you're passing really who they are? You are passing. So it makes you think, oh, are we walking by aliens every day?
Aliens or mannequins, right? Yeah. I don't have much of a postscript either, other than that it was one of the best of season 1. It's very well done. It's up there with the Willoughbys and the.
Well, let's not get crazy. We will have some discussion about this on our wrap-up show, which we hopefully will record later today.
Yep.
But we'll get there. So
yeah, with that, I'm good on my end. You got anything else?
No, I think that's a wrap on this episode. So stay tuned for episode 35, where we discuss the mighty Casey.
Oh boy, I can't wait. I've been waiting to get to this one.
All right, well, this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap. Eric, take it away.
And cut.
Marcia White in her normal and natural state. A wooden lady with a painted face who, 1 month out of the year, takes on the characteristics of someone as normal and as flesh and blood as you and I. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Just how normal are we? Just who are the people we nod our hellos to as we pass on the street? A rather good question to ask, particularly in the Twilight Zone.